Preaching means aggression. There's no such thing as a mellow preacher. Preaching means fighting with Maya. It means aggression. It means, sir, you're nonsense. Give up your nonsense. Why I'm nonsense? Yes, you are nonsense. That is preaching. Preaching means shouting. Preaching means fighting. And many, not so many, but some types of people, they resent this preaching. But actually, if it was not for the preaching, those people themselves would not have become devotees. So, however, Srila Purī Maharaj, he captured the imagination of those types of people who complain about preaching also. He was a great preacher, and he was very forceful and very, very strong. Although his nature was very soft and very gentle and very humble, when it came to preaching, he was very forceful. He would do that in a humble way. He would humbly force his way. And so he had this, we say, like demeanor or style. So this captured the imagination, means it captured the mind of many people who would normally be feeling averse to the preaching movement, Gauḍīya preaching movement. So many of these people and others, at his disappearance festival, some of the devotees from here went. Myself, Vishnu Maharaj, Vamana went. Vamana Prabhu, Vamana Dev went. Anybody else went from here? Madha Maharaj. Madha Maharaj. And many people commented Srila Purī Maharaj's greatness as a Nam Bhajanacharya. So he showed great devotion to the holy name of Kṛṣṇa. There are many angas of devotion, small parts of the process, such as puja, such as mantra. There is also tapasya, austerities, and vrat, and all these things, such as circumambulating Govardhan Hill so many times. All these are vrats. But the Nam-bhajanacharya, he may say, hey, while you're just going around Govardhan Hill up and down, losing your breath, you could be sitting chanting Hare Krishna. That will give more benefit, actually. So generally, all the other types of vrats and things that we do, actually, even puja, all these things are to engage us because we don't have the capacity just to sit and do Harinam. Doing Nam Bhajan is much higher than puja, much higher than vrata, all these things. Much higher than these things. But adhikari, capacity is necessary. So that we have a beginning, and then here's the high stage, how to walk the steps in between. So many angas of devotion are there. And it is also said through these various angas, one may achieve perfection. So, in all of his preaching, it was noted that he would always bring these things to Nam Bhajan. The perfection of worshipping the deity is actually Nam Bhajan. Once when someone was asking about many mantras, how to worship Shaligram and all these things, he said, actually, no one can do these things properly. It is better just to chant Hare Krishna. In some cases, we do some thing, we're making a show. We're putting on a show. We're not showmen, and we do even the show with devotion, but we do many things to put up a show. Means for the public, to attract the public, and to do all these things. The real essence of everything that we do, the real essence of devotion, is the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And for the most part, any time there would be a darshan of Srila Purī Maharaj, there would be any instruction from Srila Purī Maharaj, it would come to this point. You just chant Hare Krishna. Everything will be revealed from the holy name of Krishna. That is the essence of devotion. So in this way, many people told as Nam Bhajanacharya. And one morning, I was passing by his room, walking by his room, and his servant came out. And so I just halted as his servant came out of the room. And he said, oh, Guru Maharaj is very happy today. I said, oh, what is the occasion? He said, 32 rounds before breakfast. So that's Nam Bhajanacharya. He's feasting on the holy name. His happiness is based on the holy name. Not on, oh, very happy, we got 4 lakhs donation. That is nice. He got many times 4 lakhs donation. But the real happiness of a devotee is in chanting the holy name of Kṛṣṇa, not in wealth. So we will read one article here written by Srila Purī Maharaj, translated and published in the Heart of Kṛṣṇa. About the life of Srila Purī Maharaj, we have heard a few wonderful things. But undoubtedly there are many things in his life which are wonderful in the estimation of the devotional community, the devotees and the Vaiṣṇavas. In the ordinary sense, those who have no devotion, they do not see any charm or any beauty in the life of a devotee. And Vaiṣṇava, rather the ordinary people, means the people of the world, those who are busily serving Maya potency. They rather think that devotion is a waste of life. The ordinary people. In Western countries, if you are a devotee, generally they think you are less than animal. At least an animal is eating meat. He's enjoying some sex. His animal is doing, at least. But you devotional people, you stopped all these things. You don't go for all this enjoyment. And you don't go for cinema. You don't chase after all these things. You are even half disinterested in politics. Politics consumes the whole country. But the devotees are disinterested in these things. So by their estimation, we're less than animal. Well, it's a mirror reflection, actually. They're the ones who are less than animal. Because the animals, at least they do these things in a regulated fashion. And the human beings, they break all regulation, they break all types of morality, they break all the laws of nature. Animals don't break the laws of nature. Whatever you see the animal does, it is not a sin. It is within his nature, in the animal's nature. What the crows do, I was telling. We saw in Subramanya, the crows come and eat the deepams in the Subramanya also. They come and eat the deepams everywhere. It's not that, oh, these are some bad crows. They're coming to harass the Garbhagudi and the deity and everything like that. That's not the case. That's just their nature. They're driven by the taste. They want to eat something. Similarly, the dogs, they wander in to eat the prasadam. They may also wander in to eat at the back of a restaurant. They're driven by the food. It just so happens this food remnants is Krishna's left prasadam, and the animal or the crow or whatever will get some benefit, the ants and so forth. The animal species and all other types like that other than the humans and such, they just follow their nature. So whatever they do, there is no harm in that. There's no sin in that. Although it may be irritating to you or me or someone else, it's not sinful. But the human being does not really know his true nature. He follows some aspect of his nature, then he goes beyond his nature and breaks all the laws of nature just to fulfill unfulfillable desires. Desires, whatever desire you have, it is not fulfillable. You have a desire to eat chocolate, so you eat chocolate. Soon you don't be satisfied, you get sick of it. And I had enough. Starts out like, oh, chocolate, right? Then after some, no, I had too much, right? And then 3 days later, oh, I want chocolate. If you fulfilled the desire, why it came back? It's still there. Material desires cannot be fulfilled. Srila Sridhar Maharaj used to give one example. As a pig, we ate mountains of stool. As an elephant, we ate whole jungles. He gives a few examples like this. He said, still we are plagued by hunger 3 times a day. Hunger comes 3 times a day. No matter how much you eat, again, you're hungry. These material things know no satisfaction. They are simply reborn daily. And on top of being reborn, they are reborn with a renewed vitality. They are increased. Someone says, I just want to drink a little. Then he ends up drinking more. Because as we drink a little, then the desire to drink more comes. Not water, booze. There's not such thing as a little drunkard. He's a big drunkard. So, and what is the point?
Never satisfied.
In material life, no one is ever satisfied. These ordinary people, they go beyond their nature to try and satisfy their material desires, breaking the laws of nature, committing all kinds of sinful activities. Still, they remain unfulfilled, and they have these strong desires. What is their real nature, which is available, that you can understand in human life? What is really the nature of all living beings? That they never try to discover. They're too busy looking in the mud to turn their eyes to the sky. You see, they're looking always down in the lower things, trying to satisfy their lower natures, which are not satisfiable. They never look towards the sky. That means they never look up to the higher nature. What is the higher nature of the human being? They never try to discover what is the atma. What is the soul? What is the nature of soul? And when they do, sometimes they do, because there are religions and all these things, they only come to mukti. They want mukti. Mukti is such a low thing, it is considered by the Vaiṣṇavas to be within Maya. It is the last step of Maya potency. It is like, say there is a war. The soldiers are in the valley. Fighting is going on. As they climb the hill, right, then one commander says, let them get to the top. We'll shoot them off the top. Because when you stand against the hill, there is no tree, there is nothing. You're standing against the sky. Let them get to the top. We'll give them a shot, right? So while in the valley and while going up the hill, many places to hide. But when getting on the top, there's nowhere to hide. And then they shoot. So this mukti is like the top of the hill. And Maya just gives a slap from there, and the living entity goes all the way back down to the bottom. Mukti is, we call it the last catch of Maya, this last snare of Maya. It is Maya. It is Brahman, but it is Krishna's spiritual Maya in the sense that it is not reality. Brahman is not really the reality. It is some aspect of the reality, but there is misidentification. You think you are the Brahman. When entering mukti, you think you are Bhagavan. You think you are Paramatma. You think you are Brahmajyoti, but you're not. You're a Jivatma, and you're an eternal servant of Kṛṣṇa. And after, like, if the light comes in a certain way, we'll see dust floating in the air. If we can waste the time to chase one of these pieces of dust, my gosh, it may even go up past the clouds, but one day it will just come back to land on the earth. It may go up and float across the ocean before it comes down, but it comes down again and rests on the earth. So in liberation, we are like a particle of dust floating in the light. And there is no rest, and there is no peace there. There is no activity there. There is no fulfillment of any desire there, material or spiritual desire. It is like limbo. Srila Prabhupada used to give an example. It is like flying in the airplane. When you first take off, it's such a hassle to fly. You have to go to the airport. You have to go hours before. You have to check in. You have to pass security. You have to sit in this waiting lounge. You have to get in a queue. You have to board the airplane. You have to sit there. And finally it takes off. Everybody's like, yes, we're taking off. That is like mukti. But after 2 or 3 hours in the air, everybody's twisting and turning and looking at the watch. And everybody's going, oh man, it's so long. I want to come down. I want to come down. And I once saw a film. It was some eternal hell. It was some, science fiction movie. The man got on an airplane which never landed. He kept flying past the airport. And they could never come out of the sky, you see. Wherever they went, they could never land. It was just it was like hell. And the people, even the people in first class, they were crying and suffering. So that's like mukti. Mukti gives in the beginning, it has some prospect. Oh, I'll be free from the suffering of this world. I'll get the mukti. So that gives some impetus, and people work for mukti in this life. They work very hard for that, some people. Although, most people, if you describe mukti, they think, I'd rather go to the cinema. It sounds like more fun. Mukti is not a big prospect. You tell the people, no, mukti, and you describe everything out of mukti, no family, no children, nobody, no friends, no shirt, no pants, no pocketbook, no cash, no cows, no food, no eating. No, I'll stay here. I'll stay here. At least I got something here. Maybe it ends after 80 or 100 years, but I got something. And there I got nothing. No, that bliss, you'll get that bliss. It's like, yeah, bliss, what is that? That is also nothing. And the Buddhists, they go one step beyond. You'll not even get bliss. You become nothing. You just disappear. Nirvana means nothing. You become nothing. You find nothing. You experience nothing. It's nothing. Zero. And kind of like, I don't know, Mayavadi is like -1, something like that, or +1. You are there, and Ananda is there, but that's all. And it's undescribable. There's no explanation of Ananda, actually. This Ananda of the Mayavadis has no explanation. They don't know it is bliss, it's a word juggling. It has no definition. It has no explanation. And therefore, most people are not interested. But the vaikuṇṭha conception, the Goloka conception, both can be called as vaikuṇṭha. That has got some prospect. No, what you find in this world that you like, that you have there, in that world forever, eternally. There are people there. There are houses there. There is family there. It is all of a different quality. There is love there. It is a different thing. I was talking to this one man here. He was telling, I'm disgusted with this world. I don't want anything in this world. I said, come on, sir. You must say you have love for your wife. He goes, no, I'm too old for that. I thought, what a nasty thing. What he thinks love is? Sex. He thinks love is sex. I know you have love for your wife. Why are you telling you're so disgusted with the world? Some things are there. No, I'm too old for that. No idea what really love is. Understand? No real idea. So, but very few people understand that beyond liberation, what is beyond liberation? There, the real nature of all living beings is fulfilled. Beyond liberation. And it is also said beyond vaikuṇṭha also. Beyond vaikuṇṭha. But for the most part, we'll tell, vaikuṇṭha is the lower part of Goloka. That is all something very grand. We don't say liberation, mukti, brahmajyoti, that is very grand. Generally, we don't say that is not grand. That is the hell for the Vaiṣṇava. That is the spiritual suicide for the Vaiṣṇava. And in vaikuṇṭha, individuality is there. Individuality of the Supreme Lord, individuality of all living beings. Parshads are also there, expansions, Lakshmi. And the basis of life there is dasyaras. It is servitorship. Everyone is serving. Basis of Goloka is also dasyaras. Everyone is serving. But there is a distinction between the quality of service, you see. Sometimes, devotees, you may come to my room, you do some service. And I walk in my own room, you get nervous. You get some, like, rigidity, it is called. That is something like that in Vaikuṇṭha. Oh, here comes Narayan. Everybody freezes, everybody gets a little tense. The Supreme Lord. But in Goloka, when Kṛṣṇa comes, somebody comes and jumps on his shoulders, rides on his back, tackles his leg. There, service, love, everything, it has gone beyond any kind of reservation. It is unreserved. We cannot imitate that. You cannot imitate that. It is better to be some reserved when dealing with your superiors and not try to be too friendly. Even if they give so much friendly to you, as a friend, you have to, it's your duty, you have to keep some reservation. You offer obeisances and these things. You don't give familiar speech. You speak more respectfully. Like one disciple, I wrote him, dear so-and-so, I answered some question. He asked. Then I said something, why you're asking this question. He wrote back the email and just started the answer. Well, there's elections, he told something. Then I wrote back, I answered his question again. I said, in future when you're writing your guru, senior Vaishnavas, any Vaishnava actually, there is some etiquette. You should begin your letter with some proper etiquette, not simply start talking. Otherwise, familiarity breeds contempt in this world. Familiarity does not breed unrestricted love in this world. You become familiar, you become contemptuous. You take it as very ordinary. So in dealing with the Guru and Vaishnavas, we should have friendship, but we should have respect. You see. So much of our mood is like Vaikuṇṭha in this world. To actually make real progress, we have to have some of that type of mood. But the ultimate goal is to awaken our spontaneous love for God. Ragamarga, it is called the Ragamarga, spontaneous love. So, just about this one time, some devotee from our ashram in Vrindavan, that ashram was called Rupanuga Bhajan Ashram, and he was Bengali or he was Bangladeshi, but anyway, he knew Bengali, and he began to associate when we were out of town. He used to associate with Srila Purī Maharaj's devotees and his mutt. Anyway, what happened, I forget exactly the chronology, but one day he's gathered around Srila Purī Maharaj's bed with disciples, and he called Srila Purī Maharaj Tumi. Tumi. Tumi means like you speak to a child. If you in Hindi and North India, you tell an adult senior op this, op that. Op means like with respect. And Tumi is you speaking down to someone or your buddy. Tumi. He told Srila Purī Maharaj Tumi. Srila Purī Maharaj's servant just went slap. Just gave him a slap right in the face. And then they caught him by the neck and took him outside and gave him 2 or 3 more slaps. And told him, don't speak like that to our guru. You know? So he was a little bit on the crack case side, this boy was. And he was just trying to come right in there, and suddenly he's telling this thing, lower type of speaking. Buddy buddies, we call in English, buddy buddies. And then immediately the servant just gave him a slap. Later he persisted, did something else, and he got more than a slap, but I won't go into that part of the story. That was sometime later. So, the worship of Radha and Kṛṣṇa in Vrindavan is the highest thing, but you cannot approach that in a very familiar way. You have to approach that with great respect, with great awe, and with great reverence for that subject. Reverence, but without fear. In lower plane of reverence, there's some fear. Fear. And Christianity shows us more fear than even reverence. They don't call themselves God-loving, God-respecting people. They call themselves God-fearing people. They're on the lowest end of like this worshiping the God in that way. The fear is the big thing. Go to hell, sinner. It's all about going to hell and not going to hell. About being cooked in oil forever. So, but then again, they should be worried. They have actually good reason to be worried. So, but generally the highest thing that the human being discovers in this world is mukti. 4 main goals: karma, dharma, artha, kāma, mokṣa. Dharma means religiosity, duty. Then dharma, artha means material enjoyment. Why does people go to all these temples? Why one day I discovered everybody worshiping in so many places Yoga Narasingha. Yoga Narasingha. That's the most popular form. More popular than even Lakshmi Narasingha. See more Yoga Narasingha. Then I read in one book, which was some quotes, I was doing some research from Puranas, who worships the Yoga Narasingha gets material benefit and mukti. That's why. They want to enjoy like anything here, and when it's over, they want the mukti. You see? They want the best of both worlds. That is called karma kanda. Does not mean every temple of Vishnu is Suddha Bhakta, even Vaikuṇṭha style. Doesn't mean that at all. Many deities are worshipped, and in the beginning they may be given by the Suddha Bhakta, pure devotees. Later, they become what we call karma mishra bhaktas or jnana mishra bhaktas. They become jnanis, scholars, or they run a business with Kṛṣṇa. Like with Balaji. Biggest thing is not mukti. With Balaji it is not mukti. Biggest thing is cash. You give this much, and Balaji promises to give back 10 times the amount or triple the amount, because he has got some debt to Kavera, some story, big drama, big story. And the people are giving money, not even with, I give this money and give them mukti. No, I give this money, you give me 3 times 300% interest. Guaranteed my next life will be rich. You see? And as we found, even going in Madhva communities sometime, or Sri Vaishnava community, very great communities, existing through thousands of years, 1,000 years, 800 years. Both these communities, you go inside, suddenly you see a photo of Sai Baba's on the altar. Someone was telling one Sri Vaishnava family, they're worshipping Ranganath, and next to there's a photo of Ranganath is on Ananta, and next to that is Sai Baba's on his bed. And they're wearing Sri Vaishnava Tilak, putting all the marks, doing all the pujas. So 1,000 years is a long time without their acharya. Got lost. You see. Same in Udupi. We found they're doing different Sringar of Kṛṣṇa, very beautiful, and one day they're dressing as Santoshi Ma. Who's Santoshi Ma? Santoshi Ma is a cinema god. There is no Santoshi Ma. You go inside one temple there, and there's Ayappa temple. What is Ayappa? There is no Ayappa. There's no Ayappa in Mahabharata, Ramayana, Upanishads, Puranas, Vedas, nothing. Ayappa. It means father of the father. Ayappa. That's all it means. And everybody's done big tapasya. It's taught tapasya in the mode of ignorance. There is no Ayappa God. There is no Ayappa demigod. There is no Ayappa. They do fasting, they do 4 regular principles, they do malas, they do all these things. It's like taking your ghee and pouring it in a well. It's gone. It has no value to pour ghee in a well. So, even in those communities, many communities, and amongst groups, and even in our Gauḍīya community, and our Hare Krishna community, and even in Prabhupada's ISKCON, many Upasiddhantas have come in, establishing themselves very grandly in big temples like Ṛtviks philosophy. Ṛtviks philosophy is no philosophy. It is not one of the philosophical systems authorized by the Supreme Lord. It is a no system. It is a counterfeit system. They are counterfeiting money. They are counterfeiting Guru Parampara. And in reality, all the mantras and everything they chant has a different effect. Does not have the same effect as if they had Mahamantra and all these things in the Guru Parampara. The ultimate goal, which is love of Krishna, is never achieved by namabhas. It is best namabhas. It gives some shades of liberation, freedom from sin, but mainly it gives enthusiasm towards yajna, archana, money, business, and all these things. More enthusiasm grows until you look and you go, the temple is a place of business. This is what it is. It's all about business. Everything costs money. The temple can be turned into a very lucrative business, just like an incense business or any business. The activity of devotion can be converted. Our interest in people is only if they have money. Then we have interest to preach to them. If they have no money, we don't preach to them. Or we just preach to them outside, give them something to eat, and send them home. This is not a good sign. So even in the real devotional world, these things creep in. People think mukti is the highest thing. People think imitation of love of Krishna is the highest thing. Many of these things, they creep in. And the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, they find these things intolerable. They cannot tolerate. Whenever they come upon these standards, they definitely stand firm against them. And their stand is to say something. They cannot tolerate. The Supreme Lord Himself does not tolerate misrepresentation. Ignorance is one thing. Ignorance is one thing. And misrepresentation is completely another. You see. If you commit a crime out of ignorance, they say ignorance is no excuse for the law, but depending on the severity of the crime, the court may take that into consideration. The poor fellow is an idiot, he didn't know. He didn't know. I'm sorry, sir. He didn't know. A very severe crime, well, ignorance is no excuse. I didn't know it's against the law to kill somebody. Well, that's too bad. You killed somebody, you have to suffer for that. But willful deception and lying in the court carries an extra punishment, you see. All right, I killed the man. If you admit your crime, they're lenient. If you fight the court and lie throughout the case, and in the end they find out you did kill the man, then it's harder. You see, there's this deception. So this, what did I say in the beginning? Is I said just a few minutes ago, something is worse. What was the words I used? Willful deceit or something like
Deception.
Deception is worse. You see. So a person doesn't know. Say in the village, some sadhu sits down, someone comes, he becomes his disciple, everything. They're not in parampara. It is not real. You see. All right, they don't know. That's ignorance of the real parampara. They're ignorant. But then there are those who have come out from the parampara and they have a deception. And they create so many wonderful things. Using the same vocabulary and then doing tapasya. We were discussing yesterday one Hit Sharan is his name?
Hit Harivamsa.
Hit Harivamsa, one disciple of Gopal Bhatta. He started doing bogus things. And didn't he come a little in the Ṛtviks line also? I think he did.
Maybe.
Yeah, some Ṛtviks type philosophy. And these things have happened in the past. Then those who are the pure Vaishnavas, they rejected those persons from the Vaishnava society. So the deception is worse than ignorance, is what I'm saying. So, but all in all, again, back to the point, is that usually the highest nature of the human being which is discovered is this mukti. Oh, that was my point. Up to Dharma, artha, material enjoyment. Dharma, artha, kāma. Artha actually means material advancement. Getting wealth, land, prosperity. Then kāma, enjoyment. The result of dharma and artha is the kāma. We go to church, we pray to God, we want to enjoy. That's the last thing. We go to temple, we worship deity, we want something. We get that, we want to enjoy. We want to increase the bungalow. We want to increase the gold. We want to increase the business. We just want to increase material facilities. Kāma. But ultimately, that ends up, after many lifetimes, as frustration. Then the person desires mukti. Dharma, artha, kāma, mukti. These are the four goals which manifest in every civilized society of human beings in the world throughout history. Even this vaikuṇṭha-mukti, it is not a Ramanuja and Madhva on the last day of classification, but we put it in the mukti category, not in the bhakti side. Because they have some interest in mukti. The Madhva community has some interest in mukti, the Ramanuja community, they have interest in mukti. On the deeper side of their philosophy, they have interest in mukti. But Mahaprabhu came with what we call prema pumartha mahan, the fifth goal of life, which is prema, which is achieved through bhakti, which must be, means we say devoid, means there cannot be any trace, any small desire for mukti, gone. Then one can get the real bhakti which will produce prema, the fifth goal of life, the highest goal of life. That is very rare, even in the Vedic society, the Vedic culture, the people who followed the Rig Veda and all these things. Prema as the ultimate goal of life is unknown to them. Prema as the ultimate goal of life is only known when Gaur Avatar appears. He himself is Prema Avatar. He himself is abode of Prema. But if we back up a little and give an overview, then Madhva has devotion, Sri Vaiṣṇava has devotion, they have bhakti. But in the final analysis, we don't find that it is qualifying enough to be bhakti proper. Many of the traits. But generally, we don't split that hair. You understand? Don't get confused. Just like in the last day, we say, well, Vaikuṇṭha is a fall down for a Gauḍīya. If you get Vaikuṇṭha, you got Maya. You got fall down. It depends on the category. A child can lift 15, 20 kilos. For a man whose maximum weight is 15, 20 kilos, that's poor health. A child who lifts 15, 20 kilos, strong arms. For a man who can only lift 15 or 20 kilos, he's become very weak. Understand? So when the aspiration is at Goloka, then even Vaikuṇṭha is a fall down. When the gopis encountered Lord Narayan in their search for Kṛṣṇa, they thought, oh, he's the Supreme Lord, he's all-knowing, maybe he can tell us where Kṛṣṇa is. You see? It's just like if you're looking for somebody, and then you kind of go around the corner and there's Lord Narayan sitting under the banyan tree, well, you kind of forget about that person you were looking for, because now you came upon the Supreme Lord. That's something very, very, very wonderful. And this other person, he's gone. Right? But in their case, no, he wasn't gone. They thought, he's all-knowing. Maybe he knows where Kṛṣṇa is. Maybe he can tell us where Kṛṣṇa is. Huh? They never lose Kṛṣṇa in their thought for a moment. You see? So for them, even Vaikuṇṭha is disinteresting. The people in Vrindavan, particularly again the gopis, they worship one goddess known as Katyayani or Katyayani. And still in Vrindavan, people go and they do this puja. Ladies, girls, they do this puja for getting a husband, that they should get a good husband. Well, there is only one good husband as far as the gopis are concerned, and that's Kṛṣṇa. That's the end of that. They don't just a good husband, they want the good husband. That is Kṛṣṇa. So they worship the demigods to get Kṛṣṇa. Understand? They do not worship any demigod or anything. But they heard, oh, this man is a big man, and he can help us to get Kṛṣṇa. By hook and by crook, by any means, they only want Kṛṣṇa. And everything they do is to get Kṛṣṇa. The gopis wear makeup also. They beautify their look with cosmetics from the forest. Not to increase the vanity amongst themselves. Oh, how beautiful we are. But to attract Kṛṣṇa. They want to look beautiful and pleasing to Kṛṣṇa. You see. So everything for Kṛṣṇa, and in that plane, even Vaikuṇṭha is something down, fallen, and below. All right, so again, back to this one point, the mukti is generally the highest that people achieve. So here is an article which is written by Srila Purī Maharaj about a very great devotee. He became great devotee. He is known as a great devotee. His name is Devānanda Paṇḍita. This Devānanda Paṇḍita, however, was a confirmed Mayavadi. And he used to speak Mayavad philosophy from Srimad Bhāgavatam. And this is the most painful thing for the Vaiṣṇavas to have to tolerate. Because the Bhāgavatam itself is a book about pure love of God. It is leading in gradations and steps to the purest plane of love and service to the Supreme Lord. And when it is adulterated with the conception of mukti and mayavadis, this is very, very painful. This incident once where Gaura Das Babaji had to tolerate one man came and gave Bhagavatam recital in front of his bhajan kutir. He put some pandaljas there and he made bhajan kutir, made Bhagavat Sabda. So in the end, when the whole show was over, Gaura came out of his hut and his servant was there. I mean, it lasted some days, 7 days. It was over, they packed up and they left. Then he told his servant, please go there and put cow dung and cow urine on that place and give it a good bath. Give it some purification. Then the servant said, oh, but Babaji Maharaj, why it needs to be purified? Bhagavatam was read there, and wherever Bhagavatam is read, the place becomes pure the pure. And then Babaji Maharaj said, Gaura Das Babaji said, Bhagavatam? You heard any Bhagavatam? All I heard for 7 days was rupee, 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 rupee. I never heard any Bhagavatam there. So the motive is everything. Anyone can show respect, anyone can show friendship, but sometimes you perceive the motive here is not genuine. This person is showing too much devotion. We say the sign of a thief. Too much devotion. Not real devotion. He wants something from here. He wants to take something from here. He wants to utilize us in some way. Anyone can show, make a show. So anyone can sit and read the Bhagavatam. Anyone can say so many things, read books, get knowledge. But the motive within, that is the all-important thing. So in that gentleman's case, it was just pratishtha. And he wanted wealth and he wanted respect. And that is what Gaura could perceive in all his learned talks. He wants money and he wants respect. And of the two, he seemed to want money more. Rupee, rupee, rupee. And that is not the Bhagavatam. It is contaminated. Clean that place, he said. So whenever the pure Vaishnavas encounter misrepresentation of the purest things, that they find most irritating and disturbing. They cannot tolerate. Do you follow? All right, now we'll read the story of Devānanda Paṇḍita. One day, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was walking through the village of Vidyanagar at the side of the rice paddy field. There, the great scholar Devānanda Paṇḍita had built his dwelling by the side of the rice fields. Devānanda was a celibate brahmachari, who performed austerities and was very scholarly. He had earned a reputation as a teacher of the Bhagavat Purana. Unfortunately, however, due to a strong desire for liberation and a lack of devotion, he could not comprehend the real meaning of the Bhagavatam, which is an ocean of pure love, Bhakti Ras. Mahaprabhu's secretary, Svarūpa Dāmodara, tried to give him some guidelines. So this Devānanda Paṇḍita is living in a simple place on the side of the rice fields. And one day while going that way, Svarūpa Dāmodara, the secretary of Mahaprabhu, tried to give that Pandit some useful instruction. Svarūpa Dāmodara said, if you want to understand Srimad Bhagavatam, you must hear it from a Vaiṣṇava. But you can do this only when you have completely taken shelter of the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So please associate regularly with the devotees of Mahaprabhu, for only then will you truly understand devotion. You possess only jnana, the ability to understand, but due to aparad, offenses, you have not realized that Kṛṣṇa is the ultimate goal. So, this little paragraph, it stands true across India and in the case of thousands of years. Millions of pundits. They got jnana, they have some ability to understand many lower things. But they do not have the ability to understand Kṛṣṇa. One, they are not in association of pure devotees. And two, by preaching jnana, they are making aparad, actually. Jnana is not the ultimate goal of life. Jnana does not produce bhakti. Bhakti produces jnana. Bhakti produces vairagya. Vairagya never produces bhakti. Jnana never produces bhakti. Bhakti only born from bhakti. And it is said the sons of bhakti are jnana and vairagya. Who gets real devotion? He gets knowledge. Either easily he understands the scripture or it's intuitive. The higher knowledge is the intuitive knowledge. Some people want to study many books and then challenge the intuitive knowledge of the realized souls. Recently we have come across on the internet some articles of some Western scholars, so-called Vaishnavas. And they say that the scholarship, the academic research and study should be allowed to critique and challenge the acharyas. But in every assembly there is some qualification to enter, whether you want to challenge or not. And they have none of the qualifications to approach the acharyas. They have the very scriptures that they write are written by acharyas. And they have no qualification. Actually, they have no qualification to even study those books. They are just renegades. But it does not suffice to just say they are renegades. They have to be dealt with tit for tat, as we say, and proven out. They say, yes, Acharya said things in the past, but modern scholarship should be introduced and give them correction. But we say, no, we will also do research to prove that the previous research was correct and that you still remain wrong. And ultimately it comes to this. The things that are wrong, which are spoken by an Acharya, are more true than the so-called truths of the scholars. The Bhagavatam itself says, this book, although irregularly composed, it is actually without fault. It may appear to have some defect, but actually it is without any defect because it glorifies the Supreme Lord. A poem elegantly written in perfect language is not as pleasing. And Krishna himself says the Vedas are not as pleasing as the simple prayers of the gopis. They don't know all this high language. Actually, they don't even speak in Sanskrit. That one Swami said Sanskrit is the language of God. Well, he's poorly mistaken, because Brajabasi is the language of God. And the next language of God is Bengali. He ridicules Bengali, calls Sanskrit the language of God, Devanagari. But actually, the language of Krishna is called Brajabasi. It is maybe not even spoken in this world anymore. Maybe some small pieces of Brajbasa are there in northern India. It is not such a sophisticated language, but it is very poetic. It is very sweet, you see. High speaking words, sweet spoken words. Do you follow? Do you follow the difference? Which is higher? High sound, royal. There's some royal announcement. Hear ye, the king. This is all very, very official, very, very high. You see, like we say. There's one word in Hindi, betiye. Betiye. That has got like with some love. You sit down. There is. You can say. You can present it in another way, very officially. But you can then also add the touch of sweetness, and that is more charming. You see. But generally, these scholars are all hung on the wrong hook. They're hung on the wrong hook. They do not know the real essence of the very things that they profess to be scholars of. They're actually not scholars. They're self-proclaimed scholars. They're not proclaimed a scholar by a great acharya like Jiva Gosvāmī. They're proclaimed scholars by some universities. Chicken eaters, meat eaters, all these people proclaim you're a scholar now. So anyway, I'm getting a little misguided. So these scholars lack the same thing. They do not hear Bhagavatam from the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord. And they commit offenses in their scholarship. They commit offenses in their daily life. And these two things combined, they always come with the wrong understanding, the wrong purport. The Gauḍīya commentary to this verse, which is mentioned by Svarūpa Dāmodara, says, every living entity is potentially a Vaiṣṇava. Devānanda Paṇḍita had the ability to know the imports of Srimad Bhagavatam, but this knowledge was dormant in him because of aparad. And his insight was impeded. Kṛṣṇa knows everything. The type of aparad which was at the root of Devānanda's ignorance was known only to Kṛṣṇa. So, this is another small point. Sometimes it is said Guru knows everything. That means because Guru knows Kṛṣṇa. But actually only Kṛṣṇa is Trikaligya. Only Kṛṣṇa knows everything, past, present, and future. He knows what is the difficulty of every living being. He knows the desire of every living being. He is all-knowing and he is omniscient. Sometime back there was a discussion amongst the Vaiṣṇavas whether Prabhupada was all-knowing. And in the course of discussing this, we sort of realized that would be a punishment, wouldn't it? That you have to know everything. Some guy's getting his head cut off, some guy's just got his foot ran over by a truck, somebody's dying of appendicitis, and you just know everything. What a horrible thing that would be. A horrible thing would be, you see. Knowing what is in everybody's mind. You'd be going, shut up! Shut up! Quiet! Quiet! I get no quiet. Ignorance is bliss. Why do we have to know all this stuff? You know, all that's going on in the world. Not necessary. And to be aware of everything. And what is everything? This one town, one village, one country, one earth is not everything. Everything means everything. All the universes, all the planetary systems, for past, present, forever and ever. Yes, Kṛṣṇa, he can handle all that and not even like tweaks his head, you know. It's nothing for him. It would drive us insane to know everything. Then knowing everything means we know the source of everything. That is Kṛṣṇa. And Kṛṣṇa makes known various things to his devotees. Those truths, how to please him, subtleties of devotion, many divine things. And sometimes we get the suspicion something is wrong. In this world, Maya has entered. We get a suspicion. Someone's cheating in construction. Or we heard one story how Baladev's father just woke up one night and he just felt strange. So he got up and walked out towards the temple, and it so happened some dacoits were trying to rob the Vidanarayan temple. He just woke up. So Kṛṣṇa reveals different things to his devotees. You see? But that is like rare special occasion like this. Otherwise, what Kṛṣṇa reveals is how to serve him. Sometimes devotees, when the arti is going on or when they're seeing the worship of the Lord, what do they see? When they see, then what thoughts they get is so many ideas, how to improve the seva, how to expand. Like yesterday evening in the arti, I was seeing how beautiful the deities are, and I was thinking, oh, this must be expanded throughout the world, through our internet. We have to increase that photo section and description, and people should know how beautiful the deities are here. And their playground, Divinity Gardens, it should be expanded. You see? So, when there's reciprocation from Kṛṣṇa, it comes in the form of service. You see, you don't get enthusiasm and think, yeah, I take rest. That is not reciprocation from Kṛṣṇa. You rather curse this idea of sleeping. It's 10 o'clock, I have to take rest. It's like, I'm the Lord devotee, I have to rest. You're like, oh, this sleeping business, this rest. You don't, oh yes, going for rest. No, that is not reciprocation. Reciprocation with Kṛṣṇa means you are enthused to increase your service. There, you will take rest out of service, not out of enjoyment. You have to take rest in order to do your service at our stage. We have to rest. And that is reciprocation. Enthusiasm towards service, different types of service. Someone is enthused to preach, someone is enthused to distribute books, someone is enthused to write articles, someone is enthused to do other propaganda, someone is enthused to do the management, to do the cleaning. All these things are devotional service. And the energy to do them properly, it comes from reciprocation with Kṛṣṇa. Enthusiasm is at the top of the list. Enthusiasm, utsayan. Enthusiasm is the first sign of genuine reciprocation of the Supreme Lord. Enthusiasm for service. So, Mahaprabhu was passing just by Devānanda Paṇḍita when Devānanda was delivering a lecture on Bhāgavatam. Now, Mahaprabhu is Kṛṣṇa himself. So he knows what is the root defect of this Devānanda Paṇḍita. Not hearing a devotional commentary, Mahaprabhu became enraged. As he was going, he heard that Mayavad vibration. He hates that. He became enraged. Not like, just going his way. It's like, he is massacring the thing which is most dear to Mahaprabhu, the Bhāgavatam. He is making a mess of it. He is making a ridicule of it. You see? And Mahaprabhu cannot tolerate that. Mahaprabhu said, how dare this rascal interpret the Bhāgavatam? He challenged and called him a rascal. How dare this rascal interpret the Bhāgavatam? He is completely ignorant of the essence of Bhāgavatam. On what authority does he speak? The Bhāgavatam is the literary incarnation of Kṛṣṇa. The ultimate goal is pure devotion. The Vedic scriptures have declared that the Bhāgavatam is saturated with devotion. The Vedas are like yogurt. They are churned by Sukadeva Goswami and served to Maharaj Parikshit. Sukadeva is very dear to me, and he is fully conversant with the esoteric truths revealed in the Bhāgavatam. The Bhāgavatam is the full descriptions about my absolute position and nature. So the Vedas are yogurt. What happens when you churn the yogurt? Kitchen? What happens when you churn the yogurt? Butter. Butter, makan comes. That is the essence. So that is like Bhāgavatam. Sukadeva churned all the Vedic knowledge, and Bhagavatam was its product. I mean, when he delivered that. Vyasadeva also, he churned all that, he wrote that Bhagavatam. Whoever makes the slightest distinction between me, my pure devotee, and the Bhagavatam is doomed. So these Mayavadis make so many distinctions. Even about God, even about Narayan, even about Bhagavan, they say he's Atma inside. And this is not true. They say he's Atma. And he has a body made of material nature. You follow? They don't accept that Narayan has Satchit Ananda. They don't agree. There is no Satchit Ananda. One time in East Africa, we were translating one of Prabhupada's articles with a Gujarati scholar. He's translating it for a magazine. And, oh, that's right, it was translated. Then it went to the press. One pious Gujarati man was printing the magazine. So it was at the press. So then he called up, Swamiji, they have some mistake in the magazine. What's mistake? So he read in Gujarati, some Supreme Personality is, and then he said, Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Then we said, yes, what is mistake? Swami, there is no Vigraha. Only Satchit Ananda. No, Vigraha means form, shape, beauty, form. Swamiji, there is no form. There's only Satchit Ananda. No. There was a big argument. He wants to change that. Although the Lord spoke these words in anger, the Vaiṣṇavas were greatly pleased with the instructions. And then the Lord continued, anyone who does not recite the teachings of the Bhagavatam in the light of Bhakti is wallowing in ignorance. That means rolling in ignorance. This rascal is continuously talking about a single mention of, he is talking without even a single mention of Bhakti. I will shred his book. Mahabharata means I will tear his book up. He has one book, right? It's Bhagavatam. Mahabharata said, I will tear his book. This is not the real Bhagavatam. What he says is written here is false. So I will tear it up. Srimad Bhagavatam is eulogized throughout the Vedas as the most profound and esoteric literature. Poisoned by education and pride, a so-called pundit cannot grasp the truth. This will be a very good quote for that upcoming article. The scholars are poisoned by pride. One who boasts of fully comprehending the Bhagavatam completely misses its essence. One who knows that it is non-different from the inconceivable Supreme Lord is enlightened about its purport and pure devotion. There's just one little side story. There was, maybe it's not even true, but the meaning of the story is true. There was a gentleman, and he sent his son to Benares to learn Bhagavatam. Or maybe he sent him to Vrindavan. Anywhere, somewhere, he sent him. So, after some time, 6 months, 1 year, his son came back, and his father said, so you have completed your studies? He said, yes, sir. Father, I have completed. You have understood? Yes, sir, I have understood. You please go back and study again. So he went back and studied again. 6 months, came back. You have completed the studies? You have understood everything? Yes, I have understood. No, you please go back and study again. After 3 or 4 times studying the Bhagavatam, then he came. His father says, you have understood? He said, actually, Bhagavatam is inconceivable. It is an ocean. It is the ocean of truth. I have only come to its edge. Now I understand Bhagavatam is infinite truth. No one can cross Bhagavatam. Oh yes, now you have understood Bhagavatam. So maybe that never happened, but actually that's a true story. Those who say, yes, I understand, they understand nothing. Even we don't say, oh, I am a Vaiṣṇava. We say, I am a servant of a Vaiṣṇava. I am Das, servant of a Vaiṣṇava. To say, I am a Vaiṣṇava, this is a very high thing, very, very high. Once our Guru Maharaj chastised everybody, said, there was a noise in the temple. He asked, what is that noise? They said, oh, it's the devotees. And Prabhupada said, devotees? There are no devotees. I'm the only devotee here. The rest of you are just trying to become devotees. Another time someone said, oh, Prabhupada, some advanced devotees are falling down. Prabhupada said, advanced devotees fall down? Never. No, so-and-so and so-and-so. Prabhupada said, so-and-so maybe. But Rupa Gosvāmī, never. He is advanced devotee. We never heard he fell down into Maya. Rupa Gosvāmī. So words become common usage. We throw them around, Vaiṣṇava, advanced devotee, senior, all these things. We may say that about others, but we should not think that about ourselves. About ourselves, we should think, I'm always student. Eternally student. We are all learning. But the scholars, they think that they have surpassed. At a point, no, I'm the man, I know so much, I'm very great, I'm very learned. Devānanda Paṇḍita was resplendent with all good qualities. Rarely does one meet a personality of such a high stature. He had all other good qualities. However, those persons who have a false understanding of the Bhāgavatam, as well as those who praise such persons, are punished by Yamaraj. Ooh, Yamaraj. He is the universal judge. Gauḍīya Bhāsya commentary on the above incident states, in spite of being a scholar, one may not understand the essence of the Bhāgavatam. When scholars strive for fame and glory, then the universal judge, Yamaraj, who judges, punishes them. If a scholar like Devānanda Paṇḍita misunderstood the purport of the Bhāgavatam, then surely if we pose as learned scholars of that transcendental literature, we will face the same consequences. The reason for Mahaprabhu's anger towards Devānanda Paṇḍita had its roots in the past. The Lord remembered that Devānanda had committed offenses against Srivas Thakur, the incarnation of Narada Muni. This happened before Mahaprabhu's appearance, when the earth was devoid of devotional ecstasy. At that time, there were all small numbers of devotees scattered here and there. The scholars of Navadvip were engaged in studying the Gita, and Bhagavatam, and other literatures, but unfortunately none of them were teaching the essence of these scriptures. Since these pundits never cultivated the service attitude, they were unable to appreciate the devotional conclusions of these literatures. So the service attitude is at the root of success. Avoiding other offenses, and having proper behavior and following principles, at the root of success is service attitude. Who is eager to do service, who is eager to serve the personality of the Bhagavatam. Who is that personality? That is Kṛṣṇa. A little higher up, that is Radha Kṛṣṇa. A little higher up, that is Rādhārāṇī. Who is ready to serve them, not lip service. This one scholar has written, yes, and we're all joined in service to Radha together. But actually has no service to Radha. Service to Radha is only taken at the lotus feet of Mahaprabhu and his eternal associates, not in ridiculing them. One who ridicules those who are most dear to Srimati Radha can never be a servant of Srimati Rādhārāṇī, ever. And practically speaking, this one scholar that I'm talking about, he walked into Jayadev's art gallery a few years ago. His wife isn't even a Vaishnava. Lucky if she's a vegetarian even. And he was just on holiday enjoying himself at Lake George, just being the common karmi tourist. And then later he writes about, no, we can all harmonize in service to Rādhārāṇī. But I don't think you have any service to Rādhārāṇī. You don't have any service to Radharani's dearmost, and you're wasting your time on holiday in Lake George. So I don't think we're in the same category. You lack the essence, which is service to the lotus feet of the pure devotees. You follow those points?
Yes.
Follow that? Devānanda Paṇḍita was foremost among the scholars who lectured on Bhagavatam. The public held him in high regard. Ignorant of the path of pure devotion, he committed Vaiṣṇava aparadha at the feet of an exalted pure devotee of the Supreme Lord. One day, the great devotee Srivas Thakur wanted to hear a discussion on the Bhagavatam. So he came to Devānanda Paṇḍita's lecture and sat down. This is before the birth of Mahaprabhu. So Devānanda Paṇḍita is older, Srivas Paṇḍita was older. The entire Bhagavatam is composed of transcendental symbols steeped in devotion and love of Godhead. Upon hearing the Bhāgavatam, however, Srivas Thakur entered into a deep state of ecstasy. The 8 manifestations of deep spiritual emotions, called Astasatvika Vikara, such as shivering, hair standing on end, weeping, and other symptoms, overwhelmed him. The audience felt disturbed by these transformations. Srivas Thakur exhibited these symptoms, oblivious to his surroundings, and so the students dragged him outside. Devānanda Paṇḍita raised no objection to this act of malice. Gradually, when Srivas Thakur regained consciousness, he realized what had happened and went home greatly disturbed. So, when the verses of the Bhagavatam were being read, Srivas, who's incarnation of Narada Muni, he fell into trance. Then those other people said, get this guy out of here. So they just drug him outside and threw him out like in the street. And later, then Srivas woke up from his trance and realized he'd just been thrown out, and he felt badly, and he went home. So this, and Devānanda, who was sitting on the whole thing on the chair, he allowed this to happen, so that became his aparad. And Mahaprabhu, as Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Lord, he knows this history. It happened before his appearance, but he knows this history. And when he came that day and heard him speaking Bhagavatam, then he remembered all these things and was very angry. So Mahaprabhu then said, and remembered, knew all these things, "You there," he said, "Devānanda Paṇḍita. One time Srivas Thakur came to your lecture, and he was dragged out of your house by your students while he was deeply absorbed in Krishna's pastime. What was his offense? Was such manhandling a proper response to someone whose heart is saturated with Bhakti Ras? Ganga Devi herself is engaged for his association. You may lecture on the Bhagavatam, but you can never fathom its truth or meaning. When a person eats to his full satisfaction, he loses all hostility. When one tastes the divine nectar of the Bhagavatam, he becomes a friend of everyone, what to speak of the Vaiṣṇavas. As for you, although you teach others about the Bhagavatam, you yourself cannot taste its nectar." Devānanda silently listened to the Lord's chastisement, which made him feel ashamed and dejected. Although Devānanda was criticized in this way, he was truly a very fortunate soul, because the Lord's chastisement is a rare blessing. Even demons who are slain by the Lord attain the spiritual realm of vaikuṇṭha. Anyone who faithfully and sincerely accepts the Supreme Lord's warnings or chastisements will soon be blessed with pure devotion to his lotus feet. Others who disregard the Lord's punishment revolve eternally within this material cosmos. By chastising Devānanda Paṇḍita, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu teaches us a very important lesson. If one commits Vaiṣṇava aparad, then even if he endeavors to serve and surrender to Kṛṣṇa, he will never attain prema, because he is devoid of Vaishnava kripa, a Vaishnava's mercy. So this particular scholar that I've referenced to fits perfectly into this category. He was a disciple of Śrīla Prabhupada, and he rejected Śrīla Prabhupada. And he went to the Babaji section, and he took Siddha Pranali initiation, and rejected the line of Prabhupada and Saraswati Thakur. Later, he could not keep up the standards of Babaji, or the standards of the so-called Siddha Pranali initiation, and so he opted to become a bookworm, a scholar. But we might say in gist, how close to a worm he's come, he's yet to find out. One who offends the Vaishnavas, one who rejects his guru, even if he endeavors to serve Kṛṣṇa for millions of lifetimes, can never be successful. There must be an intervention of the Supreme Lord or further Vaishnavas in the future. Such persons can never satisfy Kṛṣṇa. Ever. Never. In eternity. So, the fortune of Devānanda Paṇḍita was that when Mahaprabhu chastised him, he bowed his head. He felt some regret within his heart. Generally, the aparadi, he suffers. Then, I'm sorry, I did my mischief. Why you're sorry? Because I'm suffering. Well, that is not purification. You are suffering, you see, say a child does something wrong, let's say, and sometimes some people give a slap. Then the child says, I'm sorry. Why is he sorry? He's sorry because you gave a slap. But real sorry means you realize what you did was wrong. Oh, and you put your head down. Oh, I'm sorry for that. I made a mistake. I did wrong. That feeling inside, then that purifies us. Without that feeling coming within, simply punishment, simply slap, simply leprosy, or any of these things, it does not purify. The purification must be within, with some feeling of remorse. No, I did a wrong thing. I'm sorry for that. And then one says, whatever I should suffer, all of it. Because I did a wrong thing, and if there is some suffering, I should suffer. You follow? He does not say, oh, I'm sorry, let me jump from the suffering. Then he's not really sorry. He's only sorry he's suffering. He's not sorry what he did. You punish somebody, put them in a room. No, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Why they're sorry? Because they're suffering in the room. They're not really sorry why they did it, what they did. You follow the difference? But Devānanda had many good qualities. In hearing, he accepted the chastisement. If we accept the Lord's chastisement, we accept the Lord's punishment. Some people suffer, maybe some poverty or something, and they condemn Bhagavan. They condemn the Supreme Lord for that. Oh, why he made me suffer, you see. Then the suffering just goes on. Who accepts, no, I've come to this position because of my own wrongdoings. For my own purification, I have to endure this suffering. I accept this, then that person becomes free from the reaction. Not those who struggle against the chastisement. Then what does he say? On another occasion, while touring Navadvip, Mahaprabhu went to Vachaspati's home in Vijayanagar, to Chakri Chattopadhyaya's house in Kuligram, which lies on the other side of the Ganga from Sridham Mayapur. At that time, a Brahmin came to meet the Lord. He held the Lord's lotus feet against his chest and pleaded, "My Lord, kindly hear my plea. I am a notorious sinner. I have criticized Vaiṣṇavas, and I have criticized the chanting of the holy name, thinking that there are no real Vaiṣṇavas in Kali Yuga, and doubting the power of Kṛṣṇa now. Now my soul is burning. You are the most powerful personality. Please tell me what to do." The Lord was very pleased with the Brahman's confession. Smiling, Mahaprabhu said, "O Brahman, when nectar, the drink of immortality, is given to one who has been poisoned, the toxicity in his system gradually dissipates and his body becomes immortal. You have unwittingly drunk poison by criticizing Vaishnavas. The holy name of Kṛṣṇa and the transcendental attributes, and his transcendental attributes are the highest nectar of immortality. Only by constantly relishing this nectar and glorifying Vaishnavas with the same tongue that criticize them will you be forgiven." Now this is a thing how someone says, how to avoid Vaishnava aparadha. And the answer is, well, first off, the Vaishnava aparadha means the tongue will say something about the Vaishnava. Bad. So, how to save myself from doing that? Then use your tongue to speak good things about the Vaishnavas. Glorify the Vaishnavas. That is the safest path. Similarly, if one has committed aparadha against the Vaishnava, particularly a very great Vaishnava, by speaking some inappropriate thing, criticizing or doubting, then the way to become free from that offense is to change your mentality and use the same tongue to speak the glorifications of the Vaishnava and the glorification of the holy name. And this will purify one from that offense that's been committed. So, by hearing these different things from Mahaprabhu, then unflinching faith in Mahaprabhu was aroused in the heart of Devānanda Paṇḍita. Then it says, Prakashwar Pandit, taking up residence in Devānanda's ashram, brought immense good fortune to Devānanda. Although Devānanda was a ritualist, he was very learned and self-controlled. Service to Vaishnavas is higher than service to the Supreme Lord. This is the verdict of the Bhagavatam. So various things started to happen favorably for Devānanda. He got the association of the real Vaishnavas. Kṛṣṇa Pandit, one of the great associates of Mahaprabhu in Mahaprabhu's Sankirtan movement, some things led up to Kṛṣṇa Pandit moved into the ashram of Devānanda Paṇḍita. So he got association, he got to hear from the Vaishnavas, he got some Vaishnava seva. This is one of the main reasons which Srila Bhaktisiddhanta says that he established a mutt, an ashram. Generally, practically, even right now, until I say this, everyone will think, oh, so people can have darshan of the deity. But actually that is secondary. The real business is to establish a mutt with qualified persons who can be mutt residents, meaning they're always engaged in service of Kṛṣṇa, that the public will have a chance to serve them. Because simply by serving the deity, it is not sufficient. It is not sufficient. They must come in touch with the devotees. Those who are on the path of pure devotion, those who are pure devotees. They must come in connection with them through service. Then the real benefit will go to the public. Otherwise, why open a mutt? There are already thousands of temples. We went to visit one Yoga Nisringa temple years ago. In some tantric nonsense Mayavadi, that man in Mysore, he had established the whole thing. To hear him talk was disgusting. But because he spent money, he established some beautiful deity. It means beauty can be carved to meet the eye's satisfaction with enough money. And he paid enough people to come, and he put on a big festival, and then he sat there spewing poison and polluting the atmosphere with his tantric realizations and all these things. So then what benefit do people get when they go there and see that deity? They don't get any real benefit. They get some eye benefit, very shallow. Then they meet this fellow, they get poisoned, they get corrupted, they get all wrong thinking. They actually become eligible for punishing by Yamaraj. But it's a temple. It's an ashram. But it's an ashram which is a door to hell. And in Kali Yuga there are many such ashrams. Bogus bhagavans, cheating business, mayavad business. They are doorways to hell. Because punishment means Yamaraj sends to the hell. They don't get punished in Swarga. They get punished in Patala. It means the hell. Naraka Loka. So the real benefit of a mutt is not deity darshan. The real benefit of the mutt is coming in association with devotees and having the opportunity to serve. Although it may appear that, yes, just the darshan is the main thing. That actually is not the main thing. The real benefit will come, the super benefit comes. Just like this gentleman, our contractor who's coming in a few minutes, it was our suggestion that he sponsored the home on Janmashtami. So he did that. Then one day, he comes from Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh in ancient times was known as the state of Narasimha. There's so many Narasimha temples. In Simachalam, Mangalagiri, many, Ahobalam. That's all in Andhra. So, for a long time we've been thinking about maybe make a shrine for Lord Nrsingadev here, maybe there. For years we've been just pushing the shrine around the garden. It never happened. So one day I told Nanda Kishore, I said, you should tell him he's from Andhra. That's the state of Nrsingadev. He should build the temple for Lord Nrsingadev here. So Nanda Kishore went to him. He was here. He went to him. And then he came back. He said, yes, he said, Guruji is telling I should do it. I should do it. So that's real seva. That's real Vaishnava seva. The Vaishnavas, what humble Vaishnavas we are here, we had some desire for years to build this temple for Lord Nrsingadev, but we couldn't manage it. So when he heard that we want to do that, then he stepped forward and he's bearing the cost of it, and in a few minutes we start digging the foundation for it. No ceremony here. This auspicious day, Srila Purī Maharaj's Tirubhat. Srila Purī Maharaj is also very fond of Lord Nrsingadev. Very fond. He had many deities of Lord Nrsingadev on his altar, about 4 or 5. Even one time, somebody brought one deity. Srila Purī Maharaj just wanted to show you, we bought one deity in the market, in Navadvip, that someone has made nice deities. They just wanted him to see the deity, have a darshan, kind of bless the thing like that. Because deity will come as soon as he comes in front of his devotee, Kṛṣṇa will sit there. That type of thinking. He saw like that, so I also want. But he had already big 350 kilos, big Lakshmi Narasingha we brought from Mahabalipuram, this big. There were 2, I think, made from black stone, Lakshmi Narasingha, everything. Another one small one. 4 or 5 he already had. He saw one more, I also want. So the devotees went and got it, and they thought he wanted it in his room. And they went and they got it, and they brought it the next day or something like that. Then he told them, okay, he put some tulsi and everything. He said, okay, take to the temple for worship. They already had a whole bunch. So he had some very sweet attraction for Lord Narasingha. So this gentleman is serving the Vaiṣṇavas. It might look like he's serving Lord Narasingha, but the idea for making the temple is a thought in the devotees. So Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that this is the real benefit to the people, that they can come and serve real Vaishnavas. This produces the highest benefit. Higher than service to Kṛṣṇa is service to the Vaishnava. And we might not feel that we're such great Vaishnavas, therefore it's very important for us to keep our acharyas here above our heads. Keep their desires and their standards as everything in the ashram. We strive to fulfill their desires. We try to keep their standards in chanting, their standards in purity, their standards in philosophy. You follow? And when people ask us, we will say, we are serving the higher Vaishnavas, and if you help with this, you get this benefit. We don't sit down like so many Mayavadis and try to present ourselves as the big Swami who gives benefit to the deity by doing the puja. There is some reality. If the pure Vaishnavas come, the deity gets more beauty, that's for sure. He's very happy to see the devotees. But the Mayavadi does not classify that way. Sometimes the Mayavadi says, when we big Swamis do the puja, the deity gets more Shakti. But their puja is like a fly who goes there and sits on the flute. You see, the fly also flies there, sometimes sits down there for a few moments. So their puja of Kṛṣṇa is an irritation. It is not accepted by Kṛṣṇa. And those who know this, they don't accept their patishtas. They wash it off and do it again. They don't accept the big swamis. Understand? Because they are Mayavadis. Mayavadi means prasanti. Prasanti? Pasandi. Offender. They are offender to Kṛṣṇa. They are offender to Narayan. They are offender to Bhagavan. And they're the highest class of fools on the earth. The earth cannot bear their presence, but somehow she tolerates. So gradually, Devānanda Paṇḍita, by the grace of Mahaprabhu, came under the sway of the Vaishnavas and the purification. He accepted in his heart, he became free from that aparad, and lastly, he began to preach Bhāgavatam with the pure purport of Bhakti. And his name is there eternally as an associate of Mahaprabhu. Not as an offender, but as an associate of Mahaprabhu. Devānanda Paṇḍita ki jai, Shri Guru Mahaprabhu ki jai, Shri Purī Gosvāmī Maharaj ki jai, Vaishnava ki jai, Devānanda Gauranga Hari Hari.
Maharaj ki jai.